Welcome to Mission Evolution Radio Show with Gwilda Wiyaka, bringing together today's leading experts to uncover ever-deepening spiritual truths and the latest scientific developments in support of the evolution of humankind. For more information on Mission Evolution Radio with Gwilda Wiyaka, visit www.missionevolution.org. And now, here's the host of Mission Evolution, Miss Gwilda Wiyaka.
Hello, dear friends, and welcome to Mission Evolution Radio Show, where we share innovative thoughts and explore deepening truth in the support of the path to unity and enlightenment. I'm your host, Gwilda Wiyaka. This hour, we'll be looking at restoration, regeneration, evolution. The concept of spiritual evolution is all well and good, but it's becoming apparent that if we try to evolve before we restore and regenerate, our process will not have a good foundation and is destined to failure. So what needs restoring and regenerating, one might ask? More to the point, what does not need restoring and regenerating? From our attitudes of entitlement to the deplorable state of the global ecology within and without, we have a lot of work to do. In order to channel and maintain the rapidly rising ambient frequency, we need to return ourselves and the environment to a more natural state, one that supports life. With us this hour to discuss restoration and regeneration in many arenas is Ryland Engelhart. Ryland is the Mission Fulfillment Officer and co-owner of Cafe Gratitude and Gracias, Madre. He's a co-founder of Kiss the Ground, a nonprofit that educates and advocates about the connection between soil, human, and planetary health. He's also a co-author of the award-winning transformational documentary film, May I Be Frank? He's an entrepreneur and activist using his restaurants as a platform to inspire more gratitude into our culture. He speaks on sacred commerce, tools for building community, and regeneration. His website, kisstheground.com. Ryland, thanks for joining us on Mission Evolution.
Thank you so much for having me. Thanks for the introduction. I'm grateful to be here.
I'm grateful to have you here. There's a lot of distortion and need of regeneration out there. So let's start at ground level. Dirt. What's the connection between soil, human, and planetary health?
The connection between soil, human, and planetary health is that we are living beings that require clean air, clean water, clean food, and that all has to do with soil and ecology and the way that our whole beautiful ecological system works. And if we don't take care of our soil, then we don't have good food. And as a restaurateur and as someone who's very passionate about our planet and the health of our planet, when I learned that soil really is the basis for all life, and we've all heard the term that we are what we eat, or many of us have heard that term, but what I've started to really understand is that we are not what we eat, we're actually what our soil eats, or what our food eats, and our food eats or is fed through the health of our soil or the lack thereof.
Well, we're losing topsoil faster than nature can replace it. So there's the beginning of a problem. Is there any way to turn this around?
Yes, there's a beautiful body of research, science, and pioneering farmers that are seeing that we can actually break the 10,000-year paradigm, which is approximately when they say agriculture began. That human interaction with nature actually degrades and destroys it. And
well, it doesn't really have to, does it?
No, that's the shift that's necessary, and that's the shift that's necessary through understanding that we are part and parcel of the living system of nature, of soil ecology, of the greater landscape of our planet. And that there's a beautiful video that was shown that really articulated this well, which was called "How Wolves Change Rivers," and it showed how the reintroduction of wolves into the Yellowstone National Park creates what they call a trophic cascade, meaning that when one keystone species in the ecosystem is behaving in its right order in relationship to the rest of the ecosystem has this expanding abundance of life that continues to grow and proliferate.
So then it would stand to reason that if one species is acting out of the order, that things go downhill fast. It would appear that our mass-producing food, we've kind of painted ourselves into a corner. We grow more food, but it's becoming an empty harvest. How'd that happen?
That happened through, let's see, how did that happen? That happened through trying to make nature, or our relationship to nature and the process of agriculture, a more mechanical system and mechanized, instead of understanding holism and how the whole system works. So in specific, we stopped relating to the soil as this living system that has plants and food grow, and just looked at what are the primary source inputs that are needed for plants to grow, and that's nitrogen, potassium, and phosphorus. And then we figured out ways to mass produce synthetically these three mineral components. And in turn, we just started force feeding plants through these mineral components, and not having those plants actually use the soil to give them life.
So it sounds like it's like everything else we do right now. We take without giving back. We take without gratitude. We take without giving back, and then we manipulate to continue taking.
Yes, this is correct. It's one could say the source of it would be greed, and the fact that we can continuously extract our agriculture at this point is an extractive agriculture, a destructive agriculture. And yes, they say we have 40 to 60 harvests left on all of our agricultural land before those soils will no longer produce food.
Where'd that figure come from?
That comes from the United Nations. It's about a six-year-old quote, but yeah, it's a 6-year-old quote from the United Nations.
What's the impact of this depletion of minerals and nutrients? I mean, we're just putting back a portion of what's really required. I don't think we really know what all's required. So because we're not composting, doing those lovely things, what's the impact of the depreciation of minerals and nutrients in the food having on our health?
Well, yeah, the whole system, including our bodies, including the body of the earth, the land, the soil, our plants, everything is just getting weakened. The immune system, there's just much more disease, pest, lack of health, and we're just continuously. It's like the whole system is being run on drugs or pharmaceuticals. Like at the current state of agriculture, the good parallel is a drug addict. We've given the land, our agricultural land, these really amazing uppers, and they produced a lot of food, and they were really energized, and like it was happening for a while, but ultimately after some time, the body, the immune system, the overall system starts to degrade, and then one has to take another drug to solve this thing, and another drug to solve this thing, and another chemical to solve this thing, and another pesticide, another herbicide, another so it just becomes, we're just propping up the system artificially, and ultimately it creates carnage in that path on, our larger ecosystems, on our bodies of water, on our groundwater, on our quality of air, also in the ecosystem of our guts, and our overall bodies. The fact that much of mother's milk contains glyphosate, the most wide used farming chemical that we use on most of our conventional crops. So, and that this is found in our drinking water, and in large amounts, or in small amounts, but large enough amounts that have a very impacting effect on our health.
So it starts with the soil and ends up throwing everything out of balance.
Yeah, my kind of coming to this message and mission happened about.
It's time for a commercial break. Ryland and I will return shortly and discuss soil and how it impacts everything around us. So don't you go away. You're listening to the Mission Evolution Radio Show, coming to you on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net.
Whether you're a skeptic or a believer, join me, Rob McConnell, as together we'll investigate the world of the paranormal and the science of parapsychology here on the X-Zone Radio TV show on XZBN and the X-Zone TV channel on Simul TV. Since 1990, the X-Zone Radio TV show has been the place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. Together, we'll investigate UFOs, aliens, ghosts, Bigfoot, psychic phenomenon, lake monsters, conspiracy theories, government cover-ups, the truth embargo, alien abductions, ESP, haunted locations from around the world, and so much more. With over 28 years of broadcasting and more than 4,500 individual guests, the X-Zone is truly a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality, as evidenced by the credibility, integrity, and professionalism of the guests that we bring to our international audience. If you have seen a UFO, had a close encounter, seen a ghost, Bigfoot, lake monster, or a story that you would like to share or have investigated, contact me, Rob McConnell, by sending me your email to xzone@xzoneradiotv.com, or you can call toll-free 1-800-610-7035, extension 143, and on Skype, X-Zone Radio TV. For more information on the X-Zone Radio TV show with yours truly, Rob McConnell, visit www.xzoneradiotv.com or www.xzonetvchannel.com or simultv.com and xzbn.net. Until next we meet here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, always remember, X-Zone Nation, keep your eyes to the sky and your heart in the light.
You have heard of the X-Zone? Now watch it on Simul TV, plus 500 video games, live TV channels, free video on demand, worldwide, and more. Does this sound like tomorrow's television? Well, it is, but you can have it today, right now. It is Simul TV. Simul TV offers what the others only wish they could provide. 15 exclusive channels like X-Zone, Sci-Fi, and Horror. We are worldwide. No other provider offers that. 500 built-in video games. No need to have an extra expensive system. We have them included. Free video on demand. Live streaming events from around the world. Interactive online network, and much more. Tomorrow's TV today. Simul TV. Sound too good to be true? Well, it's not. You can have Simul TV today. Sign up at simultv.com. Do it today.
Welcome back. This is the Mission Evolution Radio Show dedicated to unification and evolution of consciousness. To stay abreast of all the wonderful information and tools we have to offer, visit our website, missionevolution.org. I'm your host, Gwilda Wiyaka, and our guest this hour is Ryland Engelhart. His website, kisstheground.com. Ryland, we were discussing how when we thought we had a better idea and started manipulating the soil to push it to produce more, we've actually stripped it of everything, and now that's cascading all the way up to all sorts of problems. What all are we seeing going on as a result of that?
Yeah, we're seeing massive dead zones in our oceans where agricultural runoff is running into our bodies of water. We're seeing, as I shared earlier, more and more new diseases that lots of research is pointing to, that those diseases and those degenerative health symptoms that are happening in our children, in our adults, is a byproduct of a toxic environment. And food is the thing that we put in our mouths at least 3 times a day, hopefully, and it's our most intimate relationship to nature, in that it's nature going inside of us and sustaining our nature. And inputs equal outputs. So if we're putting food that has toxic chemicals, pesticides, herbicides, pharmaceuticals in our body, then our body becomes a sponge. And as much as our body is designed to eliminate and rid itself of these toxic chemicals or environmental chemicals, we just continue to stack those chemicals on to our food system and other systems, but specifically our food system. And in turn, our bodies, are dealing with chronic stresses, and in turn start to break down and degenerate. And
so our water, air, and food makes us sick. And then we treat illness with more chemicals in the form of pharmaceuticals. Isn't that kind of like fighting fire with fire?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I'm by no means am I someone who doesn't appreciate Western medicine, because I do. I think that there's a beautiful place for how man, and science, we've created amazing abilities to save life. But what I see is the challenge is that when you have a business based on treating people's symptoms, and business wants a repeat customer, and if our medicine wants a repeat customer, that's a challenging thing, because there's a conflict of interest where it's not actually wanting to get us truly well and heal us. It's wanting us to continuously need the next fix or the next dose of medicine that can soothe the symptom, but not necessarily heal the root of the problem. And
so is there some studies done or some proof that medicine is impacted by being a business?
Say it again.
Is there some studies done or proof that medicine is impacted by being big business rather than being driven by the health and well-being of the people?
I don't specifically have any documentation that I quote, but I think it's pretty evident.
It's just an assumption.
Yeah, I mean, it's an assumption and observation of just looking at our how we treat health, and that we mostly don't want people. Our medicine mostly doesn't just get people well to where they don't actually need to come back and see a doctor. It's mostly medicating symptoms and not looking at the root of. And this is what the whole functional medicine, kind of movement, and people understanding food as medicine, and that we want to get the overall system healthy so we don't actually need medicine.
Well, I actually see a lot of Western medical practitioners, traditional people, really moving in that direction. And my experience has been is the docs really do care, and but they're working against the environment that's so polluted. They're just trying to stopgap people's health.
Yes. No. I mean, I think mostly doctors do. I mean, they're in the business. They're in the field of wanting to help people and serve people and save people. I don't think that it's on doctors. I think they're working for. I think there's a web of influence that stems from pharmaceutical big business that wants those products to continue to be administered as the temporary solution for people.
Well, same thing can be said of all the chemicals we put into the soil. Do all the artificial things we ingest impact our overall frequency?
Frequency, is there's a lot of interpretation of what frequency means. But I would say my understanding, absolutely. I think if we're operating at a high frequency, meaning we're present and we're alert and aware, we have the opportunity to really see that our life is about being present and being kind and compassionate and loving, and that when we're numbed down or we're inundated with substance, then that will dull and bring us down to a lower frequency, where we just kind of will walk through life being mundane, expecting the mundane, and not knowing that there's something, some greater potential for ourselves and our lives.
I see a lot of, particularly in the New Age factions, a lot of pointing the finger at big pharma, pointing the finger at the chemical companies, pointing the finger, but basically, as individuals, isn't it our individual choices that's making this happen?
Absolutely. That's the empowered and responsible view on this. Yeah, that our president, our business, our how we handle garbage, everything is a reflection of our collective results, or our collective actions or behaviors.
Right. So it's not like these people were the hapless victims and big pharma or the chemical companies are tricking us into being complacent. It's our choices that are doing that.
That is true, and absolutely, yeah. I think where it's challenging is we start to glean there's a new possibility of a new choice to make, and yet because there's been so many collective actions that have said this is normal, it feels like swimming upstream to start making new choices that aren't in lockstep with the societal norm.
Well, if we're bogged down physically with chemicals and pollutants, and aren't we devolving rather than evolving?
That would be my assumption. That would be my thought. Yeah.
So it looks like a vicious cycle. We aren't making our own choices. We aren't reading what's in food. And it looks like a vicious cycle. How do we break out of it?
Well, I can only speak for myself and what I've seen in my little bubble reality existence, and that is that I've seen over the last 15 years a huge awakening around our health is correlate with food, and even though that sounds very basic, it's not, on some level it's not that basic, because a lot of people don't think, they think their body is going to be healthy, and then they go see the doctor and they'll tell them what they need to do to continue to stay healthy and eat whatever they want, and not understanding that the fuel that we put in our bodies actually creates or is one of the primary factors that creates the health and well-being of our body. So I've had the opportunity of, as a family, started Cafe Gratitude, a plant-based restaurant in California almost 14 years ago. And I've gotten to see things as, at the time, were very, very obscure. No one had ever heard of kale as a food to eat. It was only something that was on the Ponderosa salad bar between the plastic bowls of Jell-O, garnishing the
Well, it's time for another short pause.
Okay.
Ryland and I will return to our discussion on the other side of this break. You folks stay right there. This is Mission Evolution Radio Show. We're coming to you on the X Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net.
From our broadcast studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, to the world and beyond, you're watching the X Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net.
AVS Media Demo.
You have heard of the X Zone? Now watch it on Simul TV, plus 500 video games, live TV channels, free video on demand, worldwide, and more. Does this sound like tomorrow's television? Well, it is, but you can have it today, right now. It is Simul TV. Simul TV offers what the others only wish they could provide. 15 exclusive channels like X Zone, Sci-Fi, and Horror. We are worldwide. No other provider offers that. 500 built-in video games. No need to have an extra expensive system. We have them included. Free video on demand. Live streaming events from around the world, interactive online network, and much more. Tomorrow's TV today. Simul TV. Sound too good to be true? Well, it's not. You can have Simul TV today. Sign up at simultv.com. Do it today.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365. Rob McConnell here, presenting an overview for Nicholas Paul Jennings, author of a fascinating book, Amen. It presents facts revealed by Egyptologists, facts that enable us to understand why Amen is the beginning of creation of God. It provides recommendations for religious leaders of the major religions to unify their beliefs and teach the Word of God. Love one another. Amen informs people how mankind conceived God. It was the Egyptians that developed the concepts of a soul, a hereafter, and Son of God. And finally, after the worship of many gods, they conceived the belief in one universal God, the maker of all there is. For more information, visit www.futureofgodamen.com. That's www.futureofgodamen.com.
Welcome back. This is the Mission Evolution Radio Show, bringing leading-edge information supporting the path to enlightenment. Don't miss all the wonderful things we have to offer on our website, missionevolution.org. I'm your host, Gwilda Wiyaka. We're speaking with Ryland Engelhart, his website, kissthedrowned.com. Ryland, you know, we've gotten ourselves in quite a pickle because we've pushed the soil to produce more and more and more. There's more and more of us on the planet. But going back to pre-industrial era is obviously not possible. There's too many of us now. So what are our other options?
Well, that's really what my life has become about, and sharing the story and possibility of going beyond sustainability, which is just slowly degrading and sustaining what we have, and our ability to regenerate resources and regenerate our soil. And, you know, at a very simple level, working in the agricultural context, having farming and ranching practices that can actually take bare ground or unfertile soil, and through a concert of different practices such as cover cropping, not tilling the soil, not opening up the soil year after year.
Do you mind going backwards? What's cover cropping? Would you mind describing what that is?
Sure, yeah. Cover cropping is if we drive down the freeway in our agricultural states and areas, we look and we'll see if there's not a corn or soy or some crop growing, the ground is tilled, meaning it was plowed, and then just left barren until the next year when we start a new crop.
Oh, and so then it's vulnerable to the wind and all that stuff.
That's right. So one of the most destructive things that we do in modern agriculture is we till the soil, and that's just become so common that we can't even think of an agriculture where we don't do that. But
well, now I understand if you do the cover cropping, then you can till that in, and it actually starts to rebuild the soil.
That is one approach. There's actually a lot of farming and ranching that's happening now where there's low to no tilling at all. Like you don't even want to till in the cover crops. You actually can just cut the cash crop off and then plant right into the sod of that last crop the new seed or a new cover crop. And every time you plant a cover crop, you'll use a diverse species of seeds, and each plant that grows in that cover crop adds a unique benefit, a unique exudate, a carbon sugar, some nitrogen, some different minerals into that soil. So when you're using a complex or a mix of maybe 7 or 12 or 15 different plant species in a cover crop, you're feeding that soil what it would take a conventional farmer that just grows one crop. You know, you can feed that soil what you'd feed it in 17 years. If you have 17 different species of plants, you can feed that soil in 1 year what it would take 17 years of a conventional one monocrop system to give back to the soil.
So basically, these cover crops are crops. They're also things that you sell and the people eat, but you're rotating them so that they refurbish each other?
Well, no, mostly you can use some cover crops and produce food from those. But the main way people are using cover crops at this time is, you have a season where you're growing a cash crop, and then you have a dormant season where you're not growing. So you're making sure that you always have roots in the ground and plants on the surface of the soil, so that
And
soil.
then do you just plant your regular crop within the dead or cut off cover crop?
That's right. You exactly. You either you run cattle. You have cows, and you basically will feed those cows those cover crops, and then they'll poop and pee into that soil system and rebuild that fertility. And then the next year, when you plant your cash crop into that soil, you've been able to store a bunch of good nutrients, fertility, growth into that soil, and then that can then feed and produce a very rich, healthy crop for that next year.
So what problems are farmers running into shifting from the typical or what we've gone to traditional farming methods, mass farming, to this method? What are the roadblocks?
The roadblocks are, let's see, I'd say the most potent thing is our minds need to change. And again, I know that I'm a city slicker from Venice, California, so I can hear farmers scoffing at, like, what are you talking about? You don't know nothing about farming. And on some level, I don't. I've been studying it, but I don't have my real hands in the soil in a long, practical way. But the first thing is our ability to see the opportunity and change a very ingrained pattern of farming in the way that we've been doing it over the last 100 years.
Well, these farmers have got a lot of money invested into chemicals and big machinery and making a little bit of area produce a lot. What's going to be involved for them on a business level, on a one-to-one?
Yeah, I mean that's the story that really is empowering and important. And some of our mentors, Gabe Brown and Ray Archuleta, communicate. They're regenerative farming and ranching trainers. And that is really that we can make more money farming in nature's image. That we can actually, Gabe Brown says, I like to sign the back of the check, not the front of the check. And that when we can see how much of our profit or so much of our money goes to new seed, new chemical, new fertilizer, and when we can see that that is a big part of our expense, and we can start to see that the soil can actually produce what we need it to produce to grow these crops, that's where people start their bubble pops and they see a new possibility.
Where did you study agriculture?
My father's a farmer. I grew up on a farm in upstate New York, and I've been in the organic food business for the last 14 years. And then about 5 years ago, I had a very transformative moment where I really saw soil as the place, the opportunity for how we could change everything. Inside of going beyond sustainability and how we could regenerate our soils through working with nature. And I just went down the rabbit hole of seeing this as the most important opportunity for humanity to get connected to, and specifically to do with climate change, and that we have too much carbon in our atmosphere, and how are we going to deal with over 400 parts per million of carbon in the atmosphere when that's already too much, and that's going to fall into the oceans and create ocean acidification and continue to create very tragic weather events. And just thinking, well, the solutions that are on the main table are just reduction of burning coal and alternative energies, for wind and solar and electric cars. But
so what was that transformative moment for you? What turned it around?
That we could actually work with nature in our agricultural system and draw that carbon back down into our soils. And that's actually nature's design, and we just have to work in concert with nature to help nature pull that carbon back down and put it into our soils. And that carbon is our enemy in the atmosphere, but it's actually our ally when it's in the ground.
Okay, so how do we do that? How do you pull that back down?
Well, that's you transform the agricultural system to understand the principles of this bigger cycle that we're a part of, and that every time we have plants and soil, we're wanting those plants to be pulling carbon down, which they all do pull carbon down, and they build themselves with it. But what we didn't understand is that they send 60%, up to 60% of that carbon they pull down and capture through photosynthesis, and they send those into their root systems and then feed the microorganisms in the soil. And if we keep that soil covered, like by not tilling and by using cover crops and by having animals do what is called planned grazing, where we graze animals on pasture mimicking the natural systems of bison, we can actually, year after year, have an agriculture that's drawing down more and more carbon into the soils, because plants do it naturally. We just have to manage the fields and the soil under those plants in a particular way to keep that carbon down in those soils.
So this sounds like it's great in theory, but do you have any studies or anything going on out there that is proving that it actually works?
There's since I started the nonprofit about 6 years ago, there's just been a really remarkable explosion of science and really beautiful articles written in very...
We'll have to pick up on the articles on the science behind it, because that's fascinating. After this commercial break, Ryland and I will be back shortly, so don't leave us now. This is the Mission Evolution Radio Show on the X Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net.
You have heard of the X Zone? Now watch it on Simul TV, plus 500 video games, live TV channels, free video on demand, worldwide, and more. Does this sound like tomorrow's television? Well, it is, but you can have it today, right now. It is Simul TV. Simul TV offers what the others only wish they could provide. 15 exclusive channels like X Zone, sci-fi, and horror. We are worldwide. No other provider offers that. 500 built-in video games. No need to have an extra expensive system. We have them included. Free video on demand. Live streaming events from around the world. Interactive online network, and much more. Tomorrow's TV today. Simul TV. Sound too good to be true? Well, it's not. You can have Simul TV today. Sign up at simultv.com. Do it today.
Whether you're a skeptic or a believer, join me, Rob McConnell, as together we'll investigate the world of the paranormal and the science of parapsychology here on the X Zone Radio TV show on XZBN and the X Zone TV channel on Simul TV. Since 1990, the X Zone Radio TV show has been the place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. Together, we'll investigate UFOs, aliens, ghosts, Bigfoot, psychic phenomenon, lake monsters, conspiracy theories, government cover-ups, the truth embargo, alien abductions, ESP, haunted locations from around the world, and so much more. With over 28 years of broadcasting and more than 4,500 individual guests, the X Zone is truly a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality, as evidenced by the credibility, integrity, and professionalism of the guests that we bring to our international audience. If you have seen a UFO, had a close encounter, seen a ghost, Bigfoot, lake monster, or a story that you would like to share or have investigated, contact me, Rob McConnell, by sending me your email to xzone@xzoneradiotv.com, or you can call toll-free 1-800-610-7035, extension 143, and on Skype, X Zone Radio TV. For more information on the X Zone Radio TV show with yours truly, Rob McConnell, visit www.xzoneradiotv.com or www.xzonetvchannel.com or simultv.com and xzbn.net. Until next we meet here in the X Zone from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, always remember, X Zone Nation, keep your eyes to the sky and your heart in the light.
Welcome back. This is Mission Evolution Radio Show, bringing together gifted people of service to the world. I'm your host, Gwilda Wiyaka. I always love to hear from my listeners. Email me at info@missionevolution.org and suggest a topic or guest that's on your mind. I'm sure we'll all enjoy them. Our guest this hour is Ryland Engelhart. His website, kisstheground.com. Ryland, we were just about to get into the studies that have been done on this carbon drawdown idea. Would you mind continuing?
Absolutely. A mentor and friend by the name of Paul Hawken, who's been an environmental journalist for many years, just wrote and edited to collaboration of about 300 PhDs and scientists from around the world, creating a body of work called Drawdown, which the term drawdown refers to the ability for us to draw that excess carbon in the atmosphere down into plants, trees, and back into the soil. And it shows the very, very well-researched and documented 80 to 100 solutions for how humankind, can reverse global warming. And I think 11 out of the top 25 solutions are land management solutions, regenerative agricultural solutions. The way that we can plant certain species of trees, certain species of cover crops, work with certain animals on certain grasslands and landscapes, and that in these processes we can year after year draw excess amounts of carbon out of the atmosphere down into the soil. There's another great project happening in Northern California called the Marin Carbon Project. John Wick, who has been working on what's possible with drawing down carbon into grasslands or savannas, and the using of compost. And what they've found is that you can apply a thin layer of compost on rangeland or grassland, and that stimulates those grasses on that grassland. And because of that one application of compost, it will expedite a rapid growth of photosynthesis and plant activity, which shows that for every acre of land, 1 to 3 metric tons of carbon are pulled down out of the atmosphere into the ground and stored safely in that soil.
Well, it sounds amazing. Have you presented the present administration with these findings? And if so, what did they say?
You said, have I presented what?
Yeah, have the present administration has this been put before them?
Not that I've been able to do. We've presented 2 or 3 times for Gavin Newsom, who is our he's our lieutenant governor in California, hoping to really get his interest piqued as he likely will become the new governor of California. And obviously California being an environmental pioneer state as well.
Right, but you're kind of preaching to the choir there. How about senators or congressmen? It's I live in California, so I'm
I'm taking every opportunity to go national or global, but I'm also understanding that to act local is where I am, and this is where I'm taking the actions right now until I have an opportunity to present to. I know there are people in DC that are working on these initiatives and having our administration understand the potential of agriculture as it relates to climate change and a myriad of other benefits such as water holding capacity and nutritional density in our food.
So have you looked about the FDA? Have they been looking into it, or how about the agriculture agencies?
There's definitely people from my understanding in all the agencies that are aware of these things. There's a lot of the Farm Bill and a lot of the infrastructure that's set up for agriculture currently, and a lot of the crop insurance is all tied in with the chemical companies and the current paradigm of agriculture, which does not support this idea of regenerative agriculture.
Right. Well, how about the farmers? Do they support it?
When they get it, or when they've been brought to their knees of that their current system's not working. I've talked to quite a few farmer trainers who have shared the remarkable, fulfilling moments of when large, macho or men farmers who are very unwilling, with their arms crossed, willing to listen, and then actually receiving and getting the real potentiality of this, and really seeing that there's, we've said there's nothing more patriotic than protecting our soil, but the opportunity of not protecting our soil from foreigners, but actually protecting our soil so that we can continue to be resilient for generations to come.
We force nature to work with us, and in so doing have lost our ability to align with nature. What impact do you see that having on our overall well-being as individuals and as a planet?
Say the question one more time.
I said we've forced nature to work with us, and in so doing we've kind of lost our ability to align with nature. What impact do you see that as having on our overall well-being as individuals and as a planet?
I think that the impact is that we're mostly feeling disconnected, lost, and purposeless, and just doing the next thing. And yet most of those things don't have a beneficial impact on ourselves, on our communities, and on our ecological system. And so I think there's a deep sadness and a deep experience of loss and confusion, and that we find ourselves stumbling through. And I'm just hopeful that we can wake up to being a humanity or a generation that recognizes our interdependence with the living planet, and that we can't evolve and technology ourselves away from that inherent law. And
hasn't our disconnect actually resulted in the problems that we're facing? We left the circle of life, and so we don't even know what it is anymore.
That's right. Yeah, because we're so disconnected from nature and of what our actions do to nature, we can continue to perpetuate it because we're disconnected from the real impact.
So as individuals, what can we do to change this?
Let's see. The thing that came into my mind before you asked that question was just where we are in a moment in time around our ability to learn, and the ability for information and for our eyes to be open to things probably has never been more opportune. We can see almost everything happening on the planet is being televised, and so I see that we are more and more recognizing what is wrong and can make a new choice. A small example of this is the way that people are recognizing my desire to sip a beverage, a soda pop with a straw that ultimately is used for 15 minutes and then goes into the ecosystem or the ocean and becomes a toxic, destroyer for years to come. We're no longer becoming ignorant to that. We're becoming awakened, and Starbucks is, committing to ending straw use in the next 2 to 3 years. There's people are seeing our water.
We have just a few seconds left together. How do you see making this go global? Because obviously it has to go global.
Absolutely. So my mission is to communicate that we can regenerate and restore our living soil by participating and supporting regenerative agriculture. And so my request and invitation is to really know where your food comes from, and is your food coming from systems that help restore and regenerate the land?
Okay, I'm afraid, as always, time has flown and now we're out of it. Ryland, thank you so much for coming on the show and bringing your viewpoints.
Thank you so much for hosting me, and it's been a pleasure.
Our guest this hour has been Ryland Engelhart. Ryland is the Mission Fulfillment Officer and co-owner of Cafe Grande and Gracias, Madre. He's co-founder of Kiss the Ground nonprofit that educates about the connection between soil, human, and planetary health. His website, kisstheground.com. Remember to join our email family to stay abreast of all the exciting new things we have coming up at missionevolution.org. This has been Mission Evolution Radio Show with Gwilda Wiyaka on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net. Join us next time as the mission continues, bringing information, resources, and support to an evolving world.
Whether you're a skeptic or a believer, join me, Rob McConnell, as together we'll investigate the world of the paranormal and the science of parapsychology here on the X-Zone Radio TV show on XZBN and the X-Zone TV channel on Simul TV. Since 1990, the X-Zone Radio TV show has been the place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. Together, we'll investigate UFOs, aliens, ghosts, Bigfoot, psychic phenomenon, lake monsters, conspiracy theories, government cover-ups, the truth embargo, alien abductions, ESP, haunted locations from around the world, and so much more. With over 28 years of broadcasting and more than 4,500 individual guests, the X-Zone is truly a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality, as evidenced by the credibility, integrity, and professionalism of the guests that we bring to our international audience. If you have seen a UFO, had a close encounter, seen a ghost, Bigfoot, lake monster, or a story that you would like to share or have investigated, contact me, Rob McConnell, by sending me your email to xzone@xzoneradiotv.com, or you can call toll-free 1-800-610-7035, extension 143, and on Skype, X-Zone Radio TV. For more information on the X-Zone Radio TV show with yours truly, Rob McConnell, visit www.xzoneradiotv.com or www.xzonetvchannel.com or simultv.com and xzbn.net. Until next we meet here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, always remember, X-Zone Nation, keep your eyes to the sky and your heart in the light.
You have heard of the X Zone? Now watch it on Simul TV, plus 500 video games, live TV channels, free video on demand, worldwide, and more. Does this sound like tomorrow's television? Well, it is, but you can have it today, right now. It is Simul TV. Simul TV offers what the others only wish they could provide. 15 exclusive channels like X-Zone, Sci-Fi, and Horror. We are worldwide. No other provider offers that. 500 built-in video games. No need to have an extra expensive system. We have them included. Free video on demand. Live streaming events from around the world. Interactive online network, and much more. Tomorrow's TV today. Simul TV. Sound too good to be true? Well, it's not. You can have Simul TV today. Sign up at simultv.com. Do it today.